I do want us to touch on crime and gender-based violence this hour, on health, on race relations, on housing and land as well. Just some of the issues I also want us to touch on. Remember, you are welcome to join us on 011-883-0702. We've got WhatsApps as well that are coming through that I'll get to them on 072-702-1702. Some of the comments that are coming through on the WhatsApp line on YouTube as well. Hey, Clement, this people's dialogue, I think it's the beginning of a process of coming up with sustainable, people-centered solutions, and that's exactly what we want. Another one says, hi, Clement, that great contribution by the people there at the People's Dialogue. I like what the lady farmer said about getting rid of middlemen or rent seekers who inflate prices and get government departments to purchase stuff from the competitive free market. That's a message there from Basil. Another one says, the time for talking is over. We should have government officials and the leadership at some point listen to the concerns that are being raised by these patriotic citizens. All right, so we are back here at Prime Media House, and I'm going to start with you, Dr. de Kock. If you can start us off with the issue of crime, and especially also rural crime that was raised there as well by Koketso. Go ahead.
Okay. The first comment I want to make...
Hold on. I don't think the mic is on there.
The first comment I want to make is still linking to unemployment.
Yeah.
How can we expect that crime, organized crime, and corruption also have a massive impact on the unemployment situation? There's not a sector in South African economy. We can take it from mining right down to farming, where organized crime is not involved. I mean, we have the Zamazamas, but you must remember the Zamazamas are just the people who are doing the dirty work down in the mines and die there. There's people up there which receive this gold and the money that's made by exporting this illegal gold overseas. So again, corruption and crime. We can take any other, the building industry. I mean, the building industry is suffering under and can't create jobs because we have this building mafia. So we can continue with every sector and we'll find some or other mafia there. I don't think all of them should have that name, but okay, we are used to use that name. So that's my remark on the previous session. I'm going to stop there. On crime, sometimes, you know, I'm listening to your station, the car radio, the house radio, every radio is on 702, and I especially listen since I wake up in the morning to you and your colleagues, and then later in the day I'm becoming busy, and then late afternoon I'll listen again. And if I listen to people who phone in and what yourself are saying, sometimes I get a feeling we are paralyzed by crime. And we don't know what to do with crime. But I think we must just go a bit back in history, in recent history, not to the old days of, let's say, apartheid history. Let's just go back and look at the 2000s. You know, at the end of about 1999, 97, this country faced a massive crime problem. It was in the time of President Mandela. He even called a few summits. A summit on rural crime, a summit on police killings. Police were killed at about 200 per year. The same with so-called farm murders. People were killed. And then came a very determined national commissioner, which is late now, and they also, unfortunately, in the end, corruption also played a role there, with the name of Celebi. Now, I worked under him. Point number one, politics would have not been allowed in the police service. There were no factions, there were no politics. Maybe also because the appointment of certain political parties, that those appointments were not made. So politics did play a much lesser role in the police. A police officer should be a neutral person. A police officer can only go and vote for who he wants to vote and talk around the braai about politics. But if he's in his uniform or in his office, you can't allow politics. Second one, he focused on crime. The first time I met him, before he was even appointed, he said to me, if I have meetings, national management meetings, the only issue on the agenda will be crime. Because if you don't focus on crime and what you're going to do with crime, you can forget about it. Then the police service is not doing their job. And unfortunately, that is the situation. So he had even, or the president of that time, which was now Mbeki, had targets. Now my colleagues, all my colleagues will say, no, I'm wrong. Those targets are wrong because people will cook the statistics to fit the targets. Yeah, it can happen. But there's certain trends where they can't cook, unfortunately, like murder. Now, because there was a target of between 7 and 10% reduction in murder, because we were the top country of murder at the end of the 90s. We reduced murder from 25,000 at 2003, when that target came in, to just with the World Cup, it was just above 15,000. So despite the population growing, murder went down, and quite dramatically.
How did they do that?
Well, with targets, with also a approach where there was very much a focus on local policing of the station. The station must understand its crime. It must know where the murders happen. What kind of murders? Is it social murders? Is it vigilante murders? You must understand that in a place like Kailicha, when I did a study there many years ago, and I then was a witness at the Kailicha Commission, which also nothing happened with the Kailicha Commission. It was clear in Kailicha, the bigger Kailicha that time, that a third of your murders is during robberies. When people get robbed in the street, poor people who come from the restaurants tonight because they work there, and they are robbed on the bus, they are robbed on the taxi, or when they get off and they walk to their informal little hut there, then they get robbed. And they get killed because the people who robbed them are worried that they may be known. So, a third of your murders was robbery murders. A third of your murders was vigilante murders, because now the community say, no, we know who's done this. And we told the police, and the police arrest this person, but then the next day we see the person still walking on the streets. And then only a third of your murders in Kailicha. And I believe that will be the same if we repeat it today in Tembisa, in Katlehong, in wherever, KwaMashu. We'll find the same pattern. A third of your murders was other murders, social murders, domestic murders, and so on. Maybe the picture have changed in the meantime, because organized crime now play a bigger role. And we have seen for the last, with the revelations that we have heard about 3 weeks ago, that it seems hit murders are also now quite high on the list. But what I'm saying is you should understand your crime at the station, and on that you should base your policing. And your policing in that days was very much a partnership between the police, the CPF structures, or your community structures, and your security companies in the suburbs like the one that we are in now. In the poorer suburbs, you don't have security companies. But at least you can have more police visibility, and working together with your community structures.
So a lot of...
And that is how they brought it. And then the other thing, and unfortunately I take a little bit, but there's two other aspects. Crime intelligence. Not only crime intelligence, all our intelligence services, but especially crime intelligence. In those days they were functioning. They were functioning. There were no politics. There were no watching each other because I belong to this, or I belong to no party, you belong to that party. There were no usage of crime intelligence in the politics of the day. That was not. They were focused on organized crime threats. like the CIT robbers. And in those days, we took them down, the CITs disappeared. There was a point just before the World Cup where virtually there were no CIT robberies because they were either in action killed or they were arrested. And that is how we should police. For your organized crime, you use crime intelligence. And then my last remark is we have I think today, unfortunately, of a loss of experience, of many factors, we have a problem with detective services. You see, if a murder is committed, if it happens, if we can't prevent it, then at least we must investigate, get the culprit, the person who have done it, or persons, and show to the community, you know, you can't get away with murder. There's no way. But if we look at court cases, well-known court cases in the court now, I mean, of the soccer hero, I mean, there's no justice. There is literally no justice. And the question can be asked, even there, didn't corruption play a role?
Yeah.
Now, at station level, I'm aware of many murders, you know, which happen. People say, oh, this is house robbery. No, it's not house robbery. It was maybe the partner killing the partner. And it's so obvious when you read it in the newspaper, when you hear it on Radio 702, it's obvious what happened. But there's some lack. The detectives, for them, it seems it's not so obvious.
Yeah.
And either it's corruption or a lack of experience, a lack of drive, or a combination of those.
Yeah. And speaking of a partner killing another partner, Javubalo is from the Commission for Gender Equality. I mean, that's still a big crisis we have, gender-based violence.
Yes, it is, Clement. Thank you, and greetings to viewers and you colleagues in here. It is, Clement, because one of the saddest part that the Commission will be doing assessment, will be doing research on gendered issues, and will present them before the Portfolio Committee in Parliament, yet nothing is taken. I'll give you an example on a study called Emergency Response Action Plan on government departments. They only managed to fulfill only 21% of the targets. And that goes to show that, you know, things are not the way they're supposed to be. Another aspect, Clement, it's when the police give the statistics and they say that, you know, we have gone down on sexual harassment atrocities by 1%, and there's excitement. That shouldn't be an excitement to all of us in the country, because we were supposed to be having a National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, which was clearly promulgated by during the second presidential summit. Yet nothing has happened this far, Clement. And when you see statistics, South Africa said women in majority bear the brunt of abuse, harassment, and killing. Every day in South Africa, a soul is being lost, a girl child is being raped, churches are mushrooming, which are also perpetuating the stereotypes that, you know, maybe churches are seen to be this safe haven for women to be raped and killed. So it's saddening, Clement, that, you know, as a country, we need to frown at this and also hold people accountable, like Doug have said and others, that we're not holding people accountable enough. The citizenry and the civil society that was so vibrant, even leading to this presidential summit, it's nowhere to be found. We do not know what happened. The Commission has written to Parliament severally. We are waiting with Department of Higher Education, Dr. Mimi Gondwe now, Clement, because there's a lot of rape, harassment at institution of higher learning. That's something that, you know, when you sleep as a parent, you know your child might come back in a body bag, landlords are taking advantage, NEFSAS is not releasing money, and all these things constitute to gender-based violence, trauma, depression, suicide rate to some people, and also men are in majority. There's a statistics that says from Human Rights Research Council, 7.8% of men in South Africa are also affected by abuse. 5 million women do not report gender-based violence because nobody cares anymore. The police, they don't get to them. Withdrawal of cases is very high. So it's a lot, Clement, in the fraternity of gender-based violence. Every day, we do not sleep because of gender-based violence.
Have we become so accustomed to it? And I think that's a problem we have sometimes in this country, is we get so desensitized. So when something happens several times, we end up getting used to it.
We have normalized it and we have outsourced the responsibilities. The principle of Ubuntu, what someone said here, the moral decay that is there, there's no longer empathy, even from the police and the compassion. So even when it's being reported by Clement, it's reported by Bongan on 702, society says, no, it's not happening to me. As long as it's not happening to me, it's happening somewhere else. We do not care. The gentleman sitting next to me here, I can relate with Tembisa's stories. The gentleman behind me, they even wanted us as a commission an award for being there in the public space. But who gives us assistance there? Because we're not implementers. We just play an oversight role.
Absolutely. All right. Anybody else who wants to comment on gender-based violence, you can raise your hand. I want to go to Terry Oakley-Smith, who is from Diversity. He's a founder and CEO. Terry, we've spoken many times about the issue of race relations. Where are we sitting right now, if we're being honest?
If we're being honest, I've been doing this work for 30 years, since 1993, and we really made lamentably little progress. I think it's for a variety of reasons, but one of the main ones, and can I just say how much I've enjoyed this morning? I've learned so much from people that I would never normally have had the opportunity to talk to. I mean, Oscar and I do very similar work, but in very different neighborhoods. And I learned from the gentleman from Tembisa, the reporter, and was kind of horrified. And it just strikes me that as South Africans of different races, we do not get together. We do not socialize. And in fact, there was some research done recently, I think 2 years ago, which shows that only something like 3% of South Africans ever have somebody of a different race in their home for dinner. And I wonder if I look around this room, how many of you have had someone like me for dinner? Or how many times? I'm very fortunate. I have a diverse family. I have black people in my family, white people, colored people, different religions. I have Islamic people, Christian people. And you know, yes, it's tough, but it's such a blessing. And can I just say that as far as racism goes, South Africa's not really interested in dealing with racism, Clement. It really isn't. It took years to get the hate speech bill passed, and people are very, very rarely charged with hate speech. I don't know if many of you remember, I think it was last weekend or the one before, a white woman drove into a group of black Zulu women celebrating the maidenhood of one of them who'd just begun menstruating, and it was a celebration, a Zulu celebration. She asked them why they were bare-breasted. She didn't like their answer. She drove back into that group and killed one of the women and injured others. So we don't have a lot to say about race relations. We need to do a lot more work. We need to get to know each other. It needs to start in schools. It needs to happen in universities, churches, temples, mosques, businesses. Businesses take a one-night stand approach. Come in and do a workshop.
Diversity
and
workshop.
We've done it. We've done diversity here. So it's all performative. It's not going deep and really understanding each other.
But Terry, what about, again, self-accountability? I find that even on my show, the minute I raise that topic, oh my God, it's like I've just killed someone.
The R word.
People are so uncomfortable about it.
Totally uncomfortable.
So it's almost like when you raise it, then you come across as, why are you doing that? Like, it's like we shouldn't even go there.
You're something different. I remember years ago being interviewed by John Robbie on this station, and he said, there's something wrong with you, because I was a person that had friends of different races. And there's still that feeling to an extent. In the white community I'm talking about, there's still that feeling that, oh my goodness, she's got a child that's black. Is he adopted? No. He's not adopted. So how did you get him? You know. So there is just no. I promise you. And can I also say, and this is painful, and I'm sure you'll be surprised. I'm also a rape survivor in South Africa. People often think, oh, white women were safe. I was raped at Zoo Lake. So we have so much in common, but we need to get together more. We need to start addressing each other as allies, as friends.
Sisters, brothers.
Yes. And can I say, Clement, that I think it would have been wonderful to have had this in Tembisa. I mean, and maybe, you know, I'm lucky because English is my first language, and everybody here obviously speaks very good English. But maybe it would be good to have it in other places, you know, not in English, where we can really hear the people, because I only represent 8% of the people as a white person. So if we really want to hear the people, let's go to the people.
And let's talk
Let's
to them
talk
in the language.
in their
then.
language.
Absolutely.
And then we'll hear
Come
from
on.
them.
Preach, Terry. We've been to Tembisa, we've been to Sosha, I agree with you, and our plan is to do these people's dialogues, actually, and not just have this one.